This is King of Hearts, Queen of Sorrows 16. Shut up, Domon! The title of the episode of G Gundam 16 is Ultimate Power and Evil, Rise of the Dark Gundam. Or Devil Gundam, depending on which translation you're using. So, yeah, synopsis. Oh gosh, I didn't actually think about a synopsis for this episode. I guess it would be, the Dark Gundam, I was going to say something about Domon's impotency, but the Dark Gundam rises, and is fully restored thanks to Domon losing his chill, and, Master Asia defeats the new Shuffle Alliance, and they're all saved by good old Neo Germany's, Schwarzbruder. So yeah, there's my very sloppy synopsis. For our location, we are once again in Shinjuku. And, the Shinjuku Tower, which is the symbol for Shinjuku, gets destroyed as it's being integrated into, sort of, maybe, it's like a shell being broken to reveal the Dark Gundam's rise. So that's kind of fun. Let's see. So the combatants, really, it's the same crew that's been running around for the most part, but because Master Asia so easily trounced the Shuffle Alliance, and Domon didn't even try fighting him this episode, really, which is something I'll get to later, I'm going to say that the combatants in this episode were actually Master Asia and Schwarzbruder in their Master and Shadow Gundams. And again, for featured Gundam, since the first, Schwartz and his Shadow Gundam are really the only new additions to this episode, so I figure since this is my show, I'll say what the featured Gundam is and isn't. But along with Shadow Gundam and Schwartz, also obviously to me, the Dark Gundam being resurrected is like a really big deal, and it's the featured Gundam this episode. And something I noticed as I was looking at the images of it, it's something that Master Asia points out. After Domon attacks it and it absorbs all this energy, it's got this nice red and yellow, polished, very geometrical armor on it, versus earlier when it first reawakens and whatever, it's all brown and globby, and it looks like it's just kind of the color palette of the Dark Army kind of pasted onto this thing, but it's got its head, which has the super cool red and white, or mostly red, but like with the white and yellow Gundam design for the Godhead, or the head of the God Gundam, spoiled that, of the Devil Gundam, hello. Anyway, so that was neat. Lots of interesting design work done there, like on the down low, so that's kind of fun. Okay, so let's see, talked about them being featured. So the next section would be talking about Rain and her gadgets. And she's got this really cool, again, her compact mirror thing. It does so many things. One of the functions it has is a flashlight. So she's running around underground where she and pretty much like the principal cast had all fallen after, there was this giant earthquake or whatever. So that's a lot of fun. Let's see, then Rain shines. I had a tough time picking out Rain's positive contributions this episode, because sometimes she's more featured than others, but really I do think the strongest thing is her I'm going to be gender essentialist here, her womanly and feminine qualities of like cautioning Domon to not be foolish and go off on his own against not Master. Well, he wants to talk to Master Asia, but he wants to defeat Kyoji in the Dark Gundam. And when he fails to, and when in fact he empowers the Dark Gundam and Kyoji, and they leave, afterwards he's just left shattered by what he's done. And there's this really great scene at the end where, I don't know if his cape was off or what, but she ends up draping his cape over him and comforting him. And it was just really cool. It's interesting because she could have been angry with him. She could have, complained against him or whatever, but she chose to show empathy at that time. And I thought that was really good stuff. Let's see. Domon burns. Where would I say he really shone or burned? I gotta say, him talking to Master Asia, or like him wanting to talk to Master Asia and not just defeat him and destroy him, was good stuff for me. But what I felt especially positive about was when he goes. I guess what I mean to say is I think, you know, he expresses a sentiment right away in the beginning of the episode, but then he actually goes and has Saisaishi take Rain out to safety, and meanwhile he's like sort of matching Master Asia for strength. You know, he grabs his cloth as it's about to strike Rain, and he's like, you know, wanting to stand toe to toe with him and confront him, and that takes a lot of fortitude and will, and I thought that was impressive. I mean, he gets defeated pretty handily and messes things up later, so it's kind of the best I can say about the guy, if that's what I want to talk about. Let's see. So I wanted to talk about highlights right now. Gosh. There weren't really too many things that I thought were especially great. There's this hilarious scene, or I think it's funny anyway, where Chibity sneaks up on Rain, and the animation goes all off model for comedic effect because she's terrified, and she elbows him in the face, and he gets knocked into a wall and stuff. And that was a lot of fun. Then there's just little things like they show this Dark Army Gundam climbing up and like menacing Rain a little bit, and it attacks her and stuff. And it's just cool to see the scope of how different, you know, it's a giant robot and she's a person. You know, the difference in size is a pretty cool thing to be reminded of, especially because, you know, these Dark Army things, they don't look as cool as like the Gundam Fighters Gundam, so it's like, well, it's just kind of lame and what's the point? But no, they're really intimidating, something to be scared of because they're war machines. And then when it comes to lore, I think really the only thing I can say regarding lore is that it was like confirmed by the characters' suppositions in this episode that you know, however those people were being captured, all the people or many of the people of Shinjuku had been turned into those skeletal DG covered soldiers for the Dark Gundam, and like the Dark Army was eating the people, or was eating back up and absorbing the Dark Army that had been protecting it while it was going through transformations and rebuilding and whatnot. So that was kind of cool that they explore the theoretical abilities that the Dark Gundam has for growth and regeneration and evolution, basically. And I mean, it's just touched on lightly, but you know, still neat. Now, I couldn't really find a theme in this episode. This episode was just kind of shocking and filled with twists and turns and things like that, so it wasn't really like a core message or theme that I felt like they were working on, because I think some episodes it's just not worthwhile to do that, because you got to service the narrative going forward to set up for those themes to be impactful and you know, it means something later on. For the loss in translation section, Shadow Gundam, which is not actually named in the main body of this episode, it's called Shadow Gundam in the preview for next episode, for episode 17, but it's actually Spiegel Gundam, or Mir Gundam. The German word for Spiegel, or for Mir, is Spiegel, or Spiegel, whatever. So that pops up, and yeah, so, I mean, like I said, that was the only real thing lost in translation, and actually it's called Gundam Spiegel, versus in the dub it's called Shadow Gundam. I guess that flows a little better. It's funny to me that sometimes things are Gundam this and sometimes they're this Gundam. So yeah. Oh man, I had some alternate titles of the episode, which I guess I'll just share now before I sign off. I was gonna call it a couple things. One of them was this guy, or 'cause of this guy, that Domon says in the dub. It's, you know, it's just, I like the voice actor for Domon, but some of his line reads are a little funny, and I just question, like, the direction. But, you know, I'm sure I wouldn't do a better job, because not that my voice is garbage or anything, just, you know, it must be hard, especially a show like this where they expect, and when I say they, I mean the writers and directors, I guess, expect that, like, yeah, you can have this guy shouting and it's always going to sound cool and it'll never sound off or whatever, because there's a lot of hot-blooded shonen protagonists who just yell all the time, and people don't seem to mind. I mean, it gets mocked, so I guess people do mind, but whatever. So gosh, there was another title. You know, I can't remember it at the moment, and I think it'll take me too long to pull it up, and I don't really want to bore you and keep you here against your will, but I guess, you know what, I'm going to look for it, but I'm going to tell you something else. Episode 17 is the end of this Tokyo arc, as I think I'm calling it, and after this, I'm not taking another hiatus, but what I would like to do is switch up the way I do the show a little bit more. I put the show back on YouTube for, episodes, I think 12 through 17 or 11 through 17, whatever it was, this last arc I've been working on. And I like having it up on YouTube. I'm getting decent views, or I'm getting like consistent views, I guess you could say. I don't know how good they are. I mean, they're low numbers. They're below 100 for sure. But shown to me on my, archive.org, where I upload my files. I'm doing this more because it's fun for me than because I want to gain some huge audience. But if in doing this I expand, I put a little exposure on G Gundam, that's okay with me. But obviously, I benefit nothing from people watching it, other than there are more people who watch it, and in turn, I guess more people might enjoy the podcast. But like I said, I just like the show so much, and I found it so deep and profound towards the end that I thought it really deserved another look at, a more careful viewing. So yeah, there's that, and I might just switch to basically uploading it on YouTube as the main vector for it to get out to the masses, and then doing the audio version in a post on my website, luminousbeings.blog, in order to create the podcast feed. And I'm also going to try to, basically I'm going to throw minimal work into the RSS feed, and I currently capture a bunch of images for the podcast, or for the video version of the podcast, but there's so many people who do video podcasts where it's just a single image, and I think I'm going to try that for a while, because if it's not worth my work, then why continue to do it? Because I only have so much time, and I might even, cool, I just saw a red-tailed hawk. Anyway, I might even, not even pull all the images for myself. Oh, and I might change up the format, because I have 11 bullet points that I try to hit on every single episode as I'm going through, just as they seem like a good structure around which to discuss the episodes. But I think I might just switch to saying, hey, I watched this episode, maybe here's the synopsis, maybe not. Here are the things that I felt are most impactful. I might drop stuff doing the location and listing out who the combatants are or whatever. I'm not a Wikipedia, so that's not my job. If you want to find that out, you can look at the wiki, especially because so many people already do that service, and people can go out of their way to look for it themselves. And like I said, I want to talk about the ideas in the show and how well it's executed, and what it makes me feel, and those sorts of things, not necessarily all the facts and figures from it. So, yeah, I'll be shifting. Like the Dark Gundam, I'm constantly evolving to make myself into the ultimate life form. Anyway. Oh, and then, so, that's all I have to say about kind of updates and things you can expect to change with King of Hearts, Queen of Sorrows. And my last thing is, I'll tell you the other alternate title was something that Master Asia had said. It was just two words that I thought sounded really good together. It was, "Goodbye, Shinjuku." And I thought, it's appropriate, because we're pretty much getting to the end of Shinjuku. I can't remember if next episode happens in Shinjuku or not. I feel like it doesn't. But I don't remember now. Anyway, so, with all that said, remember to go out there and grasp happiness. Thank you for your time and attention. I'd love to do more of this. Like, share, and subscribe to cheer me on, or give me feedback to make me stronger and smarter. Visit luminousbeings.blog for more. I link everything I do there, so if you want to comment, that's the place where I'll definitely see it.